Jesus one time said that the children of this world are wiser than the children of light. I wish we could start from there, that the children of this world, in other words, those who are loyal to the cosmic dimension, are wiser than those who claim to belong to the kingdom. The word world has two Hebrew meanings. One of them, actually two Hebrew roots. One of them is cosmos, and one of them is eretz. And cosmos talks about the system of this world. This world is controlled by systems. A system is a way of doing things. Now, Jesus was saying that the children of this world have a way of doing things. This was not a preacher speaking. This was not an offended pastor speaking. This was Jesus Christ, God. God made an observation. And it was a very powerful observation. God noted and God realized that those who are loyal to the systems of the earth have become wiser than those who have the real power. So the master commanded the unjust steward, commended the unjust steward because he had dealt shrewdly. He was commended for dealing shrewdly. God patted him on the back for not dealing right. God gave him credit for not having done it with a blanket of Christianity. For the sons of this world are more shrewd in their generation than the sons of light. Give it to me in the original King James Version, thy and thou. There's a reason I'm saying that. Look at this. And the Lord commended the unjust steward because he had done wisely. He was unjust, but he had done wisely. For the children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light. That's why politicians don't play with how they train their children. Preachers will still listen to the rubbish when other people tell them, so are you trying to train your child to take over your ministry? Because the world is wiser than the church. Politicians know that God has no special calling for their children. They know that their children are given to them by God to replace them. They aim their children. While other children were playing whatever they were playing, President Kenyatta, as a baby, had a tie and a suit. He's in Uhuru Park following Independence Day. Because the father knew a child has nothing new to become. A child becomes what you want the child to become. Your children know all cartoons. They can't quote John 3:16. Continue praying to God. Look at the Indians. Go to their shops. From grandfather to grandson, they are selling. Because they know what the church seems not to know. Where are your children right now? Watching TV. The child of a witch has no chance to become anything other than a witch. And if he has to break away, he will fight. Because this world understands loyalty to altars. You hear those of this world that are not even born again, they tell their children, in this family, people don't fail mathematics. Where are you coming from with this? You will pass, and the child will pass. It is us believers that say, well, let the Lord have his way. I may be a great man of God, but they must not serve God. You think there is anything God will do that you don't want? Why would Jesus say, whatsoever things you desire when you pray? Why did he include desire? What do you want? This world knows how to get what they want. And they are very sure about it. They are so sure about it that when a witch says, go and bring 3 monkeys, they don't debate. They go and bring it. Believers are not as smart as them. That when a pastor says, we are going to give 1 million, I'm leaving this church. Didn't you hear them? They want our money. Because there is a blockage of the mind that needs to be removed. If the church can believe prophets the way the world believes witches, I've traveled a bit around the world. There are places you can't teach something like this and the place remains the same. It is only in Kenya you can teach something like this and someone still says, Pastor, pray with me. After hearing what you said, I really need prayer, because that is what he got. May God unblock your mind. May God unblock your head. May God remove the blinders from your eyes. May you rise to become wiser than the world. The children of this earth are smarter. They don't play with spiritual things. If a witch doctor says, every June we go to renew a sacrifice, they don't ask for a different date. They are there. They take permission to be there. It is the church. You have to convince them and convince them and convince them to attend the service. Your level of service will command your results, whether you are serving God or serving the devil. And don't think you'll serve God in a kindergarten way and your enemies will serve their idols in a university level and you compete with them. In the spirit realm, I would want you to know, in the spirit realm, God does not superimpose things. He has left principles open. That's why there are witches who can look at you and you dry up and fall down and die. And there are pastors who can pray 1,000 prayers laying hands on you and malaria will not go. Because God respects spiritual principles. The witch has built his weird grace. The pastor has been playing with his genuine grace. When what is weird is built beyond what is genuine, what is weird will control what is genuine. A witch that accepts to be buried for 3 days for power. You don't toy with such a witch as a preacher that can't obey God and give God your bicycle. There are witches who do certain things and money begins to rain. There are pastors who fast and give up on God because money has refused to come. Because whether it is weird or genuine, the level of commitment to it will be respected in the spirit realm. That's why we have witches who employ born-again believers. And they have taken wealth from the hands of born-again believers. And the born-again believers keep saying, we are born again. What matters is that I'll enter heaven. It doesn't matter what I end up with here. Yes, the witch may not enter heaven because he doesn't believe. You will enter, but on earth, he will control you. Born again and broke. Serving an idol worshiper for 10,000 a month. What can you preach to him? He has turned you into his own personal prophet. Anakalia pesa, ananyambia pesa, anakupatia. Unaenda nayo, you will never be free. Because your monetary commitment to your real God does not match that weird man's monetary commitment to his idol. In the spirit realm, no matter how much you speak in tongues, the man with the bigger sacrifice controls the day. That's why there are men you can't take from the hands of Satan easily. Because Satan has a legal ground. And the devil knows what he controls legally. He told Jesus like a joke, kneel down and worship me. And you see all this. I know it is in my power. Jesus had to approach Satan sacrificially to take back this earth. And here we have believers, all they are saying, I'm born again. Jesus paid the price. Look at your money. Look at your life. Look at your family. Look at what you are calling your financial life. Does it look like what the Bible has said? Because of this principle. The children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light. Till your commitment to God will outdo the commitment of a witch to the devil. There are altars you can't break. This is one thing I will teach. Whether you get angry, if you like, switch off from Facebook. Nobody invited you. I'm not preaching for likes. I'm above that. But if you're talking like that, I'll not give my offering. Keep it. Some of us have gone beyond that offering thing. If I open up to you, my sacrifices are enough to stop some things. Ministry is not by mouth. Ministry is by depth. It amazes me that there are spiritual principles the world does not debate, but the church debates them. Nobody negotiates with the witch. That, Baba, you have asked for 3 cows. Why don't you take 2? I've never seen that. Because of the faith they have in Baba. It is only in the church that God will ask for a sacrifice of 100,000 and you have it and wait. When they call 5,000, I'll go out. It never happens in the shrine. No witch says, can I have those who can give 100 to come out? We have cheapened our God. He looks at us cheap. Pastor, dimensions don't just happen. Depth is not an accident. And can I tell you something that will disturb you? The way things are happening to you physically is a revelation of where you are spiritually. If you are dry now financially, don't say you are rich spiritually. It's a lie. Because when you are rich there, it happens here. When you shift to Runda there, you will literally shift to Runda here. What we are seeing in your earth is a revelation of what is going on in your heaven. The Bible says so. Let your will be done on earth as it has been done in heaven. So your life here is a manifestation of who you are there. Don't deceive us that don't see me like this. There, we have mansions. Even when we die and we go to heaven, the rewards are not the same. That don't see me like this. I'm a child of God. I'm very rich in heaven. Who told you? There's a dimension you can't access there and live somewhere else different on earth. There are things you move there and things change here. That's why there are things God gives men as a symbol of dominion. It's not a physical dominion, it's a spiritual dominion. That's why a man cannot break into 1,000,000 souls up there and pastor 3 people down here. Is it everyone that God gives 1 million people? There's a man of God I knew that packed 4 million people in one night. He used like 3 stadiums. For example, Nyayo is packed, but he's not in Nyayo, he's in Kasarani. Kasarani is packed to the road, and City Stadium is packed to the road. They had to airlift him from the meeting using a chopper. There had to be traffic for 3 days. The city came to a standstill. The government begged him to reduce the meeting by 1 day. That is called dominion. And it didn't just happen. That is not a gift of the Spirit. It's called a man has accessed a dimension. If you are still explaining that your ministry is not packed because it has rained, that is where you are there. You are still being rained on up there. That man of God, don't look. I went to preach somewhere, allow me to say this. I went to preach somewhere, and people were very few that morning. And the man said, but man of God, you should have told me, because you are coming to help us pay off the project. Then people were just scattered. He said, man of God, this morning is not the best morning. I asked him why. He said, I'm not even seeing those who are good givers. I smiled. I told him, good givers have not come. Thank you. I have come. We will still pay off the project. And when I began to speak, I didn't do anything in the first service. The second service, I didn't touch about money. But when it came to receiving the offering to pay off the project, he knew he doesn't know. He told me, man of God, I thought I knew my members. I asked him, who made you think you know them? I told him, with all humility, sir, they may be your members, but you don't have what it takes to get what they have. I came with it. Men don't just surrender things. There is an anointing that causes men to surrender things. I walked into a man's house who was a former diplomat, traveled around the world. The devil was literally stealing money from this man's house. He had several vehicles that were parked. These vehicles cannot move. The house was literally smelling. A man that was once rich became so poor that you can feel poverty when I entered. God be my witness, I was with my wife. I looked around. Sympathy could have made me pray for them without telling them to give anything. But I remembered that this is not just a situation to face like that. I asked him, in this poverty, what can you do for God? He said, Pastor, look at everything is stuck. I have a very wonderful generator, but it can't work. Can I give that to the church? I said, well, if that is the best you have, give it. When I prayed, there was a movement in the ceiling. 1 week later, all the vehicles that mechanics could not find what was wrong. They start this, it begins. They start this, it begins. They start this, it begins. 2 weeks later, he was called to Namibia for a job. He said, Pastor, what is this? I told him it's called the dimension. I was preaching in Kisumu. I come into the message I have. A man in the meeting was earning almost 2 million. Life happened to him. He came back to driving a pickup for a living. The wife was moving with someone very broke because now he can't take care of his life. The man was bitter. The man was in pain. The who's were in the meeting. You know Kisumu. If you do a meeting in Kisumu for 20 days and have an offering, people give up to 2 million, you are called by God. Because Kisumu people don't just look at you. They look at you academically, financially, logistically. They don't just receive the message. They receive it logistically, theologically, academically. By the time you get to giving, they'll analyze it 7 times. If a Kisumu man gives a sacrifice, you're anointed. The third night of the meeting, the elder stormed my hotel. Said, we've never seen this kind of money. What is your take in this money? I said, relax. I didn't come with any money. Just relax. The meeting hasn't started. So I called men to give. This man came out and his intention was to go and sell his 2 dairy cattle to come and give what I had asked people to give. When he got home, the first cow looked at him. Then the cow began to move backwards. The cow moved backwards. Then the cow jumped up, fell down, foamed in the mouth and died. The second cow looked at him, moved backwards, because he didn't just come. He came under the influence of the grace that was in the meeting. Grace is tangible. Listen, don't talk like this if you're not sure of something that follows you. Something follows me into meetings. It is not a matter of I am called by faith. No. It's the tangibility of God's hand. The second one moved backwards, jumped up, fell down, died. The man said, I now know that my life is not normal. When your war kills your sacrifice, he's in another dimension. He came back to Kisumu crying. Came to the meeting Saturday 10 a.m. The whole place was jam-packed. I was younger than I am now. You see the elders that were seated. Some of the lawyers I only see on TV. When I began to preach, they were not saying amen. When one of the respected lawyers' wife flew like a bird over him and fell, the man lifted his hands. He said, hey, there is something. Now listen. So, the man came. I asked the church to give him an offering so that he can bring to the altar. When he wanted to bring it to the altar, something could not allow him to climb the altar. 17 men could not carry the man to the altar. The thing doing him said, you will never give what will free you. What is doing some of you? The reason you can't enter honor, the reason you can't enter marriage and you're born again, the reason you can't keep a 2 million job and you're born again, the reason you can't give is not you. The weight of the war that is fighting you. I went down for him. I helped the men to bring him up. He was behaving like a snake. When I was done with him, 1 month later, a foreign firm looked for him. As I talk to you today, that man is one of the men. If I tell him I need 1 million, he'll ask, where, sir? Sir, I heard you in Kisumu. You didn't even tell me. Have I gone wrong somewhere? There are things don't say if you're not sure of the hand of God on your life. Don't prize some things because you are a pastor. Prize some things because you know the grace that is on your life. If the grace on you cannot make men, go deeper with God. Go deeper with God. That's why we are in 60 days. Because I want to see grace. I want to see more than I have seen. There are things the world does not negotiate, but the church negotiates them. Jesus said they are smarter. They are wiser. You will hear a worldly man warning his son, hey, don't talk against a wizard. But a Christian will discuss a pastor on his dining table before his children, not knowing he's destroying a generation. We are not cautious what we say. There are things with all humility you can't say before my children. Training. In our house, is it in bold? We don't discuss men of God over here. Is in them. Put in them. I don't need all of you. I only need 3 men. I only need 3 people that grace can make. My dear sons, I don't do the things I do because of the crowd that come here on Sunday. I do the things that I do because the grace of God on my life has been proved to be true and to be real. You see people travel half the world to come here begging with money to give. I can't preach for money. It is the least thing I can preach for. Work on grace. May these 60 days take you deep. My spiritual children, my sons, my pastors in this ministry, I want you to come to dimensions. You show up on a Sunday with a brand new 2018 Sports Range Rover. You say, Papa, I laid hands on someone and God picked him from nothing and he gave me this. My father dedicated. There's a place in grace. There's a place in grace that you'll just be loyal. You'd not want anything else. Because grace has rubbed on you. Hunger has left you. Running to go and embarrass yourself by the roadside in the name of starting a ministry is hunger. There's a place in grace you just want to stay. When you look at your park, you say, let me go and serve my Father. During the day, you are gathering and collecting rent from your properties. By 3, you tell them, I'm going to church. I'm a pastor. Say, if I have to start, I need the blessing of my Father. Because I'm fine. I will never forget a man of God I went to preach for in Roysambu, who is a billionaire. Not a millionaire, a billionaire. He said people have never given an offering in his ministry because he buys everything. He does everything. He has houses in Runda, real story. I was the first man to tell those people, this man has bewitched you. This man does all this. You will never rise. He has carried everything. He was once an elder in Redeemed in Uruma. He was an elder. Now he's a bishop. He said, I don't need the money. I just want to serve God. Every day he was giving me money. Then on Sunday he told me, what do you want? I said, I need sound. He said, let's meet at Credible tomorrow. I don't do fundraising for those things. Grace will bring them. I told him I'm at Credible. He said, hey, I haven't left Runda. Let me get a motorbike. A billionaire jumped on a motorbike because I can't wait. He came, pull down this, pull down this, pull down this. Pull, how much? Not yet. Pull down this. The sound one man bought. After having lost sound before because of a devil, God paid me. That is a pastor, a billionaire. Talking of thousands upon thousands of acres of land, genuinely acquired, genuine businesses, genuine lifting. Those are people in my life. Why should I steal 10,000 from someone? Those are men. When they see my phone, they can't sleep because they understand grace. I came to take you to a level higher than begging. I command that level. I can introduce you to it. I came to bring you to a level higher than building a house, higher than buying land. I came to introduce you to God. There is something, when the hand of God is on you, I repeat this, you don't have to go and embarrass yourself by the roadside that I'm starting. Why? Because I don't have anything to eat, so at least the people can bring something. Do you know the first days of this ministry, when the offering was 1,900, we were paying a hall around 5,000 every Sunday. And my wife was going to her equity account, withdrawing the money and paying. Because we wanted to serve God. We were not in need to get money. We started because God led us to start. That's why the entire sound, no contribution. There was a time in this ministry when every end month, a certain amount of money will be found in the offering bag, brand new notes. And when you look at the crowd, no, it wasn't even a crowd. Nobody was able to give that kind of money. It went on like that every end month. Until one day, I decided I wanted to see the man that was giving this money. So I said, we are going to receive offerings, I'm going to hold the basket. I thought I'm smarter than God. So people gave into the basket. I didn't see the notes on the exact note date. Then I gave the basket to those counting. When they got to the counting room and they turned the basket, the bundle fell. And it was always the exact amount of money we needed to pay the ministry bills and pay my bills. So I called them. They were giving me reports. I said, but did you find this inside? They said, we found it inside the bag. But I knew it was not there when I gave out the bag. And God told me, when you are in my will, you are my bill. If you are in my will, you are my bill. That is the confidence I have until today. That's why I pray and money enters funds. Get ready tonight. Online, get ready tonight. Something will enter your house that you didn't have when you left your house. Something will invade your bank account that was not there when you checked the last time. I am in his will. I am his bill. God was building my confidence in him. God was building my trust in him. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I have learned to trust in God. Through it all, I have learned to depend upon his. I wish you could sing that. I don't know why you don't sing some songs. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. Tuachie hapo. Those are the things that taught me trust in God. I feel something tonight. Shakadibada. I feel something tonight. Shadabihikediba. I feel something tonight. There are nights I say manna will fall and manna falls. I have a message tomorrow on Truth FM. Please tune in 90.7. You will hear something and some things will happen. I've spent time with him. God is real to me. Tonight, you'll find a bill paid that you don't know who paid it. A man was watching me Facebook Live, and as I spoke that, immediately I was done, he got a phone call from the bank. The bank told him that actually it was a manager or something. In the night was telling him, when are you coming for your logbook? He had 6 months to pay. He gave an offering online that night. And before he rested, the manager said, I had a busy day and I didn't manage to call you. You have cleared your loan. Do we top it up? Do we give you something? When are you coming for the logbook? Why don't you come? We close down on this because I can see you have cleared. He was believing God to pay 6 months. My God went into the system and cleared it. There's a bill that will be paid about your life. Can I hear an amen? Listen. The whole of this teaching is geared towards us shifting our levels. You can't be ordinary after 60 days. No matter where I'm invited, there'll never be a more beautiful meeting than this. I can't take this meeting no more. Such a big meeting. 60 days to make a billionaire. 60 days to deepen a man's walk with God. What a great honor. This is more important to me than going to America. Because America is watching. And America will give. So where do I go? I hate the way Satan is doing you. I'm not a father who wants to sit on my children. I want to see them great. I want to see you preaching in dynamic meetings. That when I see you on Sunday, you say, Papa, after this service, I'm going back to finish. And I see you going with your convoy. And I smile. I say, that's my son. When you are broke, you don't want people to be bigger than you. When you have tasted wealth, you want every man to be great. Because you know how beautiful it is. When you are broke, you are threatened by your sons. You want to sit on them and step on them. You don't want them to go. all this pain when church breaks is poverty. Because it is not church break, tithe has gone. God forbid that I should cling to a man because of tithe. May God, if you are a minister and you are watching me, may God deliver you from that witchcraft. Someone is telling you he wants to leave the ministry. You are giving him prophecies not to leave because you are afraid to lose his tithe. You would rather lose his soul but gain his tithe. Witchcraft. There's a side of relationship with God that makes everything small. What is a sacrifice? A sacrifice is the demand of divinity. You're in 2 Samuel 24. I'm finishing up so that I introduce you to something new tomorrow. Is the demand of divinity. The seer of King David commanded in verse number 18 of 2 Samuel 24, God commanded David concerning this thing. The sacrifice is divinity's demand. Heaven does not just visit a place. Heaven has demands. Before 5 loaves and 2 fish can feed 15,000 men, heaven must demand the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. Jesus said, bring it to my hands. Because heaven does not just move. Heaven visits places it has laid a demand on. Even in the kingdom of darkness. That's why a witch will say, bring a monkey that has been killed by a left-handed man. Not just a monkey. Ensure the one that has killed the monkey is left-handed. And the monkey has been killed within 3 days before you bring it. Because weird grace has weird demands. Bring a woman that gave birth on the 17th of a particular weird month. Get as her placenta. The wicked world is making a demand. Very symbolic demands. Because the devil ties no man for free. Sacrifice is the demand of divinity. So what David did, divinity had to issue a demand. Heaven had to make a demand. And a man of God came to David and told David, this is what heaven is demanding. Go and buy the threshing floor of Araunah, whatever, the Jebusite, and erect an altar there to God. Why? So that the plague can be removed. There are things God does not just deal with. Look at this. So it is the demand of divinity. Ladies and gentlemen, spiritual dominion demands certain things. It is the tool that handles God when the presence of God is unkind. Yesterday, we looked at how it was taken to Gath in verse 8, the Ark of the Covenant, there was trouble. In verse 10, they carried to Ekron, there was trouble. And in 1 Samuel chapter 6, verse number 1, we looked at that yesterday. Wicked men gathered, wicked priests gathered, diviners gathered, waganga walikusanyika, and they gave an advice that the church is still fighting. If you return the ark of the God of Israel to them, do not return it empty. Return it with an offering. You need a sacrifice to get the God of Israel away from us. There are men, if you want God to leave them, you must undo the sacrifices that they laid down for God. I said the only way to kill a man of sacrifice, number 1, kill God. Number 2, have the ability to kill a sacrifice. That's why there are men you can't kill. There are ministries you dare and you come down. Because the foundation upon which it has been built. Ministries are built on foundations. Paul said, I don't want to build on another man's foundation. Because foundations are built by men. A ministry like Gospel Revival Center cannot die. The foundation was laid by Mrima. One time, Apostle Evans Mrima wanted to go to America. And he took Bishop Robert Muzomba, now a bishop. Apostle Evans Mrima used to call people the Jesus style. He walked into Bishop Mrima's office. Bishop Mrima was selling insurance. Bishop Muzomba was an insurance agent. And he looked at him and said, when will you stop stealing in the name of this insurance thing? Follow me. And something came on Bishop Muzomba and he left sales and he followed Mrima. So Mrima was planning to travel to America. He took him. They went to one bush, Kangundo Road. He knelt down. He didn't tell him where they are going. He knelt down. He prayed for 3 hours. Then he told him, let's enter the car. Let's go. They went to another bush towards the airport. He knelt down, prayed for 3 hours. By the time they went to the third bush, when he began to pray, Muzomba joined in. Then he told him, I'll be traveling. That is the work I've left for you. One time he wanted to do a crusade in Kamkunji. He called the finance office of the ministry. He said, I need a crusade. The finance officer said, we don't have funds that can sponsor a crusade right now. He said, the crusade is beginning on Saturday, but you'll not live to attend it. The man died before Saturday. You see, Bishop Mwiru is a product of Apostle Mrima's labor. He's one of the souls that were born again under that ministry. Augustus Baraza was a secular musician. Mrima would walk into a secular band and bring them to church, and that's the last time they went to the club. He was not a pastor, he was a man of God. If he wanted to travel to Mombasa, there's no car that they bought him that they didn't sell for crusades. So he didn't have a car. He just said, come, bring your car. I'm traveling with it tomorrow. Refuse if you're a man. Jesus said, bring the donkey. And when any man asks, tell him the master needs it. We have pastors. Please, my sons, may you never do a fan's drive for a car. I have never done it. Don't dare it. Because there's a level of grace. It's an insult to do contributions to buy a car. That's how Mrima operated. I never lived to see him. But when you hear me, you'll think I sat and heard him. It is a shame that sometimes men who only had a preacher ran with what the preacher carried, when men who sat under him didn't get it. There's something God told me about him I'll not say on air. I was praying and God told me, do this and this and this. Mama understands. There are a few senior ministers who understand. That's beyond you. I'll not go into it. Listen. Divinity has demands. Not every man can operate like that. When he died, they couldn't bury him. They couldn't believe he's dead. It's like when Papa Idahosa died. T.L. Osborne said, I can't bury Papa Idahosa. He's like a son, but I can't bury him. It was a level of glory that a father said, I can't bury him. If I'm not wrong, it's Apostle Dr. Joe Kayo that buried Papa Idahosa.